Hello, and welcome to Psychology of Legends. Today we're diving into one of the most remarkable figures in history, a man who conquered nearly 40% of the known world. And of course, we're talking about Alexander the Great. I want to point out that for your convenience, we've divided this video into blocks. At the end of each block, we'll show how you can apply these ideas in your own life. This will help you act with more confidence, better understand people, and achieve your goals, even if you're not a natural-born leader. Each block focuses on a different side of Alexander's personality: his leadership, strategy, charisma, diplomacy, psychological techniques, and character traits. We'll not only go through his biography and historical events, but also explore what made him a great leader and how these principles work today. So, let's dive into the first block and see how Alexander built his leadership through personal example. Block 1. Leadership through personal example. Alexander the Great became king of Macedonia at just 20 years old, and his first actions immediately showed that he was not just an heir to the throne, but a person with a remarkable leadership potential. From a young age, he was educated by some of the greatest mentors of the time, including Aristotle, which gave him not only knowledge, but also the ability to think strategically and understand human psychology. From his very first days on the throne, Alexander didn't limit himself to court duties. He personally took part in training and campaigns, showing his soldiers that a leader does not stand aside. In battle, he was at the front, willing to take risks alongside his army. This created a sense of trust and inspiration. People followed him not out of fear, but because they saw personal courage and responsibility in action. His leadership extended beyond the battlefield. Alexander respected the traditions of the conquered peoples, could communicate effectively with different cultures, and unite them toward a common goal. He valued everyone's contribution, showing that results depended not only on him, but on the team. This ability to motivate and inspire people became the foundation of his extraordinary success. Alexander's personality combined ambition, charisma, and high emotional intelligence. He could read people, understand their fears and expectations, and use their strengths effectively. He motivated through personal example, skillfully acknowledged achievements, and strengthened loyalty and discipline, even in the toughest conditions. These qualities allowed him to achieve incredible goals and lead people through immense challenges and dangers. Practical tips for you: inspire through action. Even small acts of initiative build trust and respect. Build trust through openness and honesty. People are more likely to follow those who are consistent and fair. Value the contributions of others. Recognize the efforts of colleagues, friends, or your team. This boosts motivation and strengthens relationships. Learn to take responsibility. Actions, not words, create respect and influence. Alexander shows that a true leader is not defined by power and strength alone, but by trust, respect, and personal example. These principles can be applied in any area of life, whether it's work, study, or personal projects. Block 2. Strategic thinking and risk-taking. After becoming king, Alexander immediately showed that his ambitions went far beyond Macedonia. His campaigns and conquests were not random. Every move was carefully planned. Alexander possessed a rare combination of boldness and calculation. He understood that risk without analysis could be disastrous, while excessive caution would prevent great victories. His strategic thinking was evident on every level, from choosing routes and tactics in battle to long-term goals like expanding the empire and uniting different peoples. He could anticipate his enemies' moves, exploit weaknesses, and adjust plans if the situation demanded it. This combination of courage and flexibility made his campaigns nearly unstoppable. Alexander's personality is particularly interesting here. He had high self-confidence that allowed him to make decisions others feared. But this confidence was supported by analytical thinking. He studied terrain, logistics, troop morale, and cultural traits of the peoples he encountered. His ability to see the big picture and weigh the consequences of each action was key to his success. His bravery inspired his soldiers, while his careful risk assessment reduced losses and increased effectiveness. He showed that leadership is a balance between decisiveness and thoughtful planning. A few ideas to help you act. Plan your actions in advance, considering potential risks and consequences. This helps you act confidently even in complex situations. Learn to assess opportunities and threats. Sometimes courage should be paired with analysis. Don't be afraid to change strategy if circumstances change. Flexibility increases your chances of success. Develop the ability to see the big picture. This helps make decisions that bring the greatest results. Alexander demonstrates that great achievements are possible not just through courage, but through strategic thinking, balancing risk, and careful planning. These principles can be applied in your career, business, and personal life. Block 3. Charisma and the art of inspiration. Alexander the Great was not only a brilliant military commander, but also a man of remarkable charisma. His mere presence inspired people, and his ability to communicate and understand others made him a leader. People followed voluntarily. Soldiers were not afraid of Alexander. They were motivated by his personal example, energy, and confidence. Alexander's charisma manifested in many ways. He could connect with every soldier, ally, or subject. His ability to listen and understand people's expectations made communication effective and relationships trustworthy. Alexander understood that leadership is not just about power, but about evoking emotions, creating a vision, and energizing others. His personality combined ambition, decisiveness, and high emotional intelligence. He could recognize people's fears, anxieties, and hopes, and use this knowledge to motivate them. On the battlefield, this meant he could boost morale even in the most difficult conditions. In diplomacy, it allowed him to unite different peoples and maintain the loyalty of allies. Alexander's example shows that charisma is not magic. It is the ability to combine personal example, emotional understanding, and a clear goal. He created an atmosphere of trust where people felt part of something greater. Tips you can apply today. Develop communication and listening skills. Being able to hear others builds trust and respect. Use personal example to inspire. Actions speak louder than words. Create a clear vision and share it. People are more willing to follow when they understand the goal. Learn to recognize people's emotions and moods. This helps motivate and manage a team more effectively. Alexander shows that true charisma is a combination of personal example, emotional intelligence, and a clear purpose. These principles work not only in armies or politics, but also in business, projects, and everyday life. Block 4. Conquests and diplomacy. Alexander the Great entered history not only as a military commander, but also as a master of diplomacy. His conquests stretched across vast territories, and he understood that the power of weapons was only part of success. True influence comes from the ability to work with people, unite different nations, and manage them after victory. His campaigns were meticulously planned. Every city, every battle, and every alliance were considered with long-term strategy in mind. Alexander often used psychological techniques, intimidation, respect, and flexibility. He could demonstrate strength to intimidate enemies, while simultaneously showing respect for the culture and traditions of conquered peoples. This allowed him to maintain control over vast territories and minimize resistance. Alexander's personality shone through his ability to read people and understand the motivation of each individual. He quickly recognized allies and potential traitors. This combination of analytical thinking, emotional intelligence, and charisma made his conquests both successful and sustainable. Moreover, Alexander demonstrated a willingness to compromise when necessary. He built alliances through dynastic marriages, respect for local traditions, and cultural integration. This allowed him not only to win battles, but also to maintain authority after victory. Ideas you can apply today. Combine strength with respect. In work and personal relationships, it's important to be confident while considering others' interests and values. Plan strategically. Think about long-term goals, not just immediate results. Develop the ability to read people and their motivations. This helps make better decisions and build reliable relationships. Be flexible and willing to compromise when it increases your chances of success. Alexander shows that a leader's true power is not just in battlefield victories, but in the ability to manage people, build trust, and maintain stability across conquered territories. These principles are highly applicable in modern projects, teams, and business. Block 5. The psychology of influence and team leadership. Alexander the Great was not just a conqueror, but also a true psychologist of his time. His success depended not only on military might, but also on his ability to manage people, motivate them, and earn complete loyalty from his army and allies. He understood that even the most disciplined army cannot operate effectively without trust and inspiration. One of Alexander's key methods was leading by example. He never stayed in the rear when his soldiers fought. He shared their hardships, fought alongside them, and took risks with the troops. This strengthened trust and created a sense of unity. People saw him not just as a leader, but as someone willing to act alongside them, making his influence deeper and more genuine. Another crucial aspect was his individualized approach. Alexander noticed each soldier's strengths, understood their fears, ambitions, and personal motives. He used this information to assign roles, boost morale, and achieve optimal results. This combination of analytical thinking and emotional intelligence allowed him to manage a vast army without relying solely on fear or rigid discipline. He also actively used rewards and recognition. Alexander personally acknowledged the achievements of commanders and ordinary soldiers, motivating them to strive harder and reinforcing loyalty. He could influence people without threats or pressure, using charisma, confidence, and a deep understanding of human psychology. Moreover, Alexander demonstrated adaptability. He understood that situations change and that a leader must be flexible to maintain team effectiveness. His ability to combine confidence with empathy, ambition with attention to people, makes his example relevant even today. How to apply this in your life? Inspire by example. Show willingness to act alongside your team or peers. Consider people's unique qualities. Understanding strengths and weaknesses helps delegate tasks and motivate effectively. Use a system of recognition. Praise and acknowledgement increase engagement. Be flexible. Adjusting approaches based on circumstances enhances success. Balance confidence with empathy. Leadership works only when you understand how others feel. Alexander shows that a true leader's power lies not only in commands and authority, but in the ability to see people, inspire them, and guide them toward a common goal. These principles apply in any area: business, personal projects, and daily interactions. Block 6. Alexander's legacy and personality lessons. The final block of our analysis focuses on Alexander the Great's legacy and what we can learn from his personality. Alexander controlled nearly 40 of the known world, a scale that is hard to imagine, but his influence extended far beyond the conquered territories. He left not only military victories, but also lessons on how courage, strategic thinking, emotional intelligence, and the ability to work with people create real achievements and long-term impact. Alexander possessed a unique combination of traits: charisma, confidence, analytical thinking, high emotional intelligence, and the ability to inspire people. He could see individuals, understand their motives, fears, and ambitions. This allowed him not only to win battles, but also to build teams willing to follow him voluntarily, despite dangers and hardships. His personality combined ambition with empathy, decisiveness with sensitivity, making his example highly relevant for today's world, where leadership requires understanding people and strategic thinking. Alexander showed that a leader's true strength is not only power and control, but the combination of personal example and strategic thinking. He often acted visibly in front of his army, made difficult decisions, and participated in battles alongside soldiers. His personal example inspired, motivated, and created a sense of belonging to a greater purpose. This principle remains key today. People follow those willing to act alongside them and take responsibility themselves. He had a remarkable ability to see the long-term perspective. Every battle, alliance, and step in his conquests was part of a larger plan. He understood that true achievements are measured not by the number of cities conquered, but by lasting influence and the trust of the people he worked with. Alexander demonstrated a systematic approach, considering logistics, morale, psychology of soldiers and allies, climate conditions, and terrain. This methodical approach helps modern individuals in business, project management, and personal life. Equally important is his balance of risk and calculation. Alexander could make bold decisions that seemed reckless to others, but always backed them with analysis, information, and understanding of human psychology. His personality combined confidence, courage, and decisiveness with empathy and attention to detail. He knew when to act firmly and when to show flexibility and patience, avoiding destructive consequences and maximizing efficiency. Alexander also understood the importance of motivation and recognition. He personally acknowledged the achievements of commanders and ordinary soldiers, reinforcing loyalty and boosting morale. He knew every person values respect and recognition, and skillfully used it to maintain discipline and engagement. This demonstrates that leadership is the art of combining strategy with psychology, managing not through fear, but through trust, respect, and inspiration. Lessons you can apply today. Plan strategically. Think about long-term goals, and consider the consequences of each step and every element of your plan. Balance courage with calculation. Don't fear making significant decisions, but do so thoughtfully, using information and analysis. Inspire by example. People follow those who act alongside them and take responsibility. Develop emotional intelligence. Recognizing the emotions and motives of others helps build effective relationships and achieve goals. Build trust and respect. Loyalty and long-term relationships are based on honesty, openness, and understanding of others. Develop systematic thinking. View projects and goals as part of a larger plan, considering all details and consequences. Combine qualities: ambition, charisma, empathy, analytical thinking, and strategy. This makes you stronger and more effective in any area of life. Alexander the Great demonstrates that human greatness is measured not only by territorial conquests, but also by the ability to inspire, build trust, and exert lasting influence through personal example and strategic thinking. Studying his personality helps us understand how to apply these principles today, in work, business, projects, and daily life. His story is not just a collection of conquest facts, it's an entire school of leadership, offering lessons anyone can apply, regardless of profession, character, or ambition. So friends, we've explored the personality of Alexander the Great, his psychotype, leadership qualities, and strategies that made him one of the greatest leaders in history. It's important to remember that each of us can apply Alexander's lessons in our own life without becoming a conqueror. Planning, systematic thinking, inspiring by example, understanding people, and balancing courage with calculation. All of these work in work, study, projects, and everyday situations. Thank you for joining us on the Psychology of Legends channel. We really value your opinion. Which great personality would you like us to analyze in the next video? Share your suggestions in the comments. Give a like if you found this video useful. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new episodes. See you in the next videos, friends. Remember, by studying the greats, we learn to become better ourselves.